If you keep going back to porn, even though you genuinely want to stop, you may be fighting the wrong thing. Most men fight the behavior. I need more discipline. I need more willpower. I just need to stop. But underneath the behavior, your brain may be running 4 incredibly powerful loops: the access loop, the stress loop, the novelty loop, and the one that most men underestimate, the shame loop. Together, these loops can keep your brain hijacked and strengthen what I call the Desire Miswire until porn can begin to feel almost automatic. But once you can see the loop, you, my friend, can interrupt it. This video is brought to you by my HarperCollins published book, Mind Over Explicit Matter. If you're ready to quit porn and reclaim your life mentally and physically, go over to drtrishleigh.com/book. Welcome back. I'm Dr. Trish Leigh, cognitive neuroscientist, and today I'm going to show you these 4 brain loops and the 3-part brain training strategy that I call the Instant Rewire. This is what it involves: interrupt, reward, redirect. As we go, I want you to ask yourself one question: which loop has my brain been practicing? Loop number 1 is the access loop. Your phone in bed, your laptop late at night, social media that slowly becomes sexual, privacy, boredom, exhaustion, and porn one tap away. If you repeat that same sequence enough times, your brain begins connecting the dots. Bed, phone, scroll, stress, phone, search, alone, laptop, porn. Eventually, those aren't neutral situations anymore. They become cues, and your brain doesn't always wait for you to consciously choose pornography. It can begin predicting it. That's why changing your environment isn't weakness, it's neuroscience. Charge the phone outside of your bedroom. Remove the app. Use that blocker. Stop taking the phone into the bathroom. Move the laptop. Create friction between the cue and the old reward. You're not treating yourself like a child, you're changing the environment that has been training your brain, and that's the beginning of the rewire. Loop number 2 is the stress loop. For many men, pornography isn't simply about sex. It has become a way to change how you feel. Stress, rejection, loneliness, anger, boredom, exhaustion, numbness. Your brain learns, I know how to change this feeling fast. Eventually, the pattern becomes uncomfortable feeling anything. Pornography becomes the temporary relief. That's a significant miswire. So when the urge hits, don't debate with it. This is when you begin the instant rewire. You interrupt, reward, redirect. First, interrupt that predicted sequence. Stand up, change rooms, walk outside, move your body, slow your breathing, put the phone down. You're interrupting the pathway before your brain completes the old pattern. Then naming what is happening at the moment can be crucial. This is my stress loop. The moment you can observe the pattern instead of automatically running it, you've created an opportunity to choose something different. The novelty loop is loop number 3, and this is where pornography can become incredibly powerful. Dopamine isn't simply about pleasure. It's deeply involved in motivation, anticipation, learning, and reward prediction. Pornography can give the brain an almost unlimited stream of novelty. Search, click, new image, new video, new category, next, more. Eventually, you're not simply consuming the reward. You're chasing it. And the chase itself can become part of the reward. That's why some men tell me, I don't even know what I was looking for anymore. Exactly. The searching has become part of the loop. Meanwhile, ordinary life can begin feeling completely flat, comparatively so. Work, exercise, connection, accomplishment, even real intimacy with a partner can feel slower because real life doesn't provide infinite novelty. That's why simply removing pornography isn't the entire rewire. Your brain needs to relearn how to respond healthier to real life rewards. Loop number 4 is the shame loop. You slip and immediately your brain starts saying, I'm disgusting, I blew it again, I'm never going to change. Now you're extra stressed, you're discouraged, you're hiding, maybe you're isolating. And what has your brain learned to use for stress and escape? Yep, you guessed it. Pornography. Shame sends you straight back into the cycle. So responsibility matters, but shame and responsibility, they're not the same thing. Shame says, this is who I am. Responsibility says, this is a pathway my brain has practiced. What am I going to practice next? That's a completely different brain state. A slip doesn't have to be a spiral. It can become data. What triggered you? What state was I in? What reward was my brain expecting? Which loop was running? Now you're learning from the miswire instead of strengthening it. And this explains why willpower alone often isn't enough. Your prefrontal brain networks, the prefrontal cortex, help pause, plan, evaluate consequences, remember your values, and make decisions based on your long-term goals. But when you're stressed, exhausted, triggered, lonely, or emotionally flooded, those networks have a much harder job. Meanwhile, the practiced pathway already knows the route. Cue, craving, porn, relief, repeat. Run that sequence enough times and your brain becomes incredibly efficient at it. That is neuroplasticity. Your brain gets better at what it repeatedly practices. So you don't need to yell stop louder. You need to practice a different pathway. And that's where the Instant Rewire comes in. The Instant Rewire has 3 parts: interrupt, reward, redirect. First, interrupt. Break the predicted sequence. Put the phone down, stand up, change rooms, move your body, get away from the cue. You're giving your brain new information. We are not completing that old pathway. Then a new reward. This is incredibly important because your brain isn't going to enthusiastically give up a very powerful reward pathway for nothing. Give it another healthy way to change its state. Movement, music, exercise, sunlight, real connection, accomplishing something meaningful. You're teaching your brain there are other ways to feel good. Then the redirect. Move toward the life that pornography has pulled you away from. Your work, your partner, your family, your health, your goals, your purpose and passion. Interrupt the old pathway, reward the new choice, redirect into real life. That's the Instant Rewire, my friend. And every time the old cue appears and you complete the different sequence, you're giving your brain another repetition of the pathway that you actually want to learn. That's brain training. That's the beauty of neuroplasticity. That's the rewire. So today, don't try to fix everything. Identify your strongest loop: access, stress, novelty, or shame. Then decide what your instant rewire will be before that loop starts. How will you interrupt it? What healthier reward will you give your brain? Where will you redirect your attention? Because pornography isn't some mysterious force that has more power than you. Your brain learned a pathway. Access opened it. Stress activated it. Novelty rewarded it. Shame sent you back into it. That's the miswire. And the same neuroplastic brain that learned that pathway, when it's pushed in the right direction, it can learn something better. So don't evaluate your recovery one urge at a time, one bad day, even one slip. Look at the pathway you're practicing. Interrupt, reward, redirect. That's how you move from hijacked to miswired to rewired. And ultimately, you're not simply trying to get back to the man you were before pornography. When you learn to optimize your brain, you can become more focused, more connected, more driven, and more capable of accessing your full potential. If you want to know how established your Desire Miswire is, you can take my free quiz. It's a Miswire Desire quiz at drtrishleigh.com. It will help you understand whether the pattern it appears to be emerging, established, or deep, and what you can do about it next. Your brain learned this. Your brain can learn something better when you train it to. So please remember to control your brain, or you know it will control you. I'll see you next time.